Does anyone have a question? Does anyone have a question? People often wonder what the final goal of what we do here. And, it's not very complicated. It's not very difficult to understand. At the same time, it's not easy to do. Because the final goal of all of this is to develop one's humanity, to build a system inside that can keep the heart open, that can live with forgiveness, that can truly function here as a human being. The soul comes to the earth to learn this. Understand? It needs to evolve. It needs to become one with God. It's, moving in its upward direction that way. And the primary thing it needs to learn is how we should become human, how we should really live here, on a level where there's just happiness, there's joy, there's self-worth, there's a reason to be alive that isn't always evolved around being unhappy and being miserable and, finding negativity. Yeah, plenty of that exists in the world, but it doesn't mean that we have to attach ourselves to it. And all it takes is an inner strength that makes it possible for us to free ourselves from all of that angst that goes on in the world. And these classes are really about that. They're building that kind of an inner life. I talk about this a lot because I think it's the key, it's the very basis of what is being taught here and why people should be doing a meditation of this kind of depth, this kind of inner work. And frankly, it took me a long time to learn this. It wasn't something I knew. I mean, I kind of knew it in my head 30 years ago, but it took a long time for it to become part of the living experience. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask? God is love. It's no more complicated than that. And if we're walking around being negative all the time, how can we experience a connection with God? So use of mind, use of breath to develop a chakra system enables us to get detached from the negativity and to keep our hearts open, to keep our minds quiet, to be able to use sexual energy to create rebirth inside.
Do you have to become detached from the positive energy too?
You become detached from everything. You begin to realize that there is no positive, there is no negative. It's all energy, and it just depends upon how you see it. Understand, people fight wars. Both sides think they're doing a positive thing. Understand? And when you're able to create this dialectic, create a union between positive and negative, it gives birth to spirit. It gives birth to a consciousness that transcends polarity, that transcends positive and negative. Because as long as there's positive, there's going to be negative. And as long as there's negative, there's going to be positive. So a human being builds a system inside that enables them to detach from both positive and negative, connected to spirit, connected to an energy that is no longer positive and negative. It's just infinite energy in the universe. So the next time anyone starts judging other people about whether they're doing positive or negative, just remember, uh, any kind of positive act will be followed by some kind of negative thing. It always is. It's always been that way in my life. And that's how energy manifests on the earth. Conflict, polarity, positive, because it's all the way the mind sees the world. It's just exactly how the human mind sees the world, positive and negative. And yet, if you do spiritual practice, you transcend positive and negative. You create a dialectic where there's a marriage of positive and then you give birth to energy that transcends positive and negative. Spirit, God, consciousness. When you do this and get strong enough to sustain this, you get free of karma. You work your way through karma. You've learned what you were here to learn on the earth, how to get free of karma. No, I'm not the first to say this. I mean, all the great texts, it's all about this. The Buddha, Krishna, it's all about this, the fulfillment of one's humanity, the merging of opposites, the elimination of polarity, quieting the mind so we don't look out at the world vis-a-vis our minds, which are always seeing things in terms of positive and negative, and also creating conflict, tension inside us. And ultimately, if you have that conflict and that tension, there's no way under the sun that anybody is going to live a happy life. You have to get free of all that stuff and allow the heart to stay open. Does anyone else have a question? Okay, if there are no more questions, I just have one announcement to make. This book that I'm working on, it's called Tantra. There's 108 of these pieces. I mean, it's going to be completely finished in about 3 weeks. I think we have 100 of them. There's 8 more to do, to finish, to edit, just minor edits they need, but and I'm really excited about it. I think it's wonderful to allow this to come out into the world. Was frankly, I wrote this thing, but I didn't write it. It came through me. I read these things and I say, "My God, Stuart, I mean, this is just the part of the development of your spiritual practice that made it possible for this voice to come through you with these, essays, short essays." So I think within the next, yeah, by early February, it's finished. Then the big job starts, finding a publisher. Gotta bring it down to practical terms, getting it published. I could publish it myself, but I really don't want to do that. I want to get somebody that's going to distribute it and get it out in the world and find an audience for this book, big audience. And who knows, it might help somebody, save somebody's life and worth writing. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, then God bless you all. Thank you. Thank you for being here. As I tell you all the time, my guru, you're my teacher. Your presence really draws out of me things that I need to hear as well. It's pretty interesting how this all works. So thank you. Bless you. There'll be a class again on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you, sir.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.